it going to be? Good shot from the outside for Aaron Telitz. He's going to lead him through turn number one. Everyone clean through thus far. Aaron Telitz, again, the local driver out of Wisconsin, looking to grab his third win of the year. He scored a victory earlier in the season at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. In fact, the season opener, he won that opening round. Has not been able to win since. It's been Pato O'Ward dominating the proceedings, but it just has not been the case for Pato here this weekend. In fact, he's going to find himself behind, I want to say, the entire Yukos Racing squad as they work their way down here to turn number 5. Yukos Racing has done an amazing job getting those Pro Mazdas dialed in. A little trouble for Jimenez. He'll drop a wheel, but then run all the way up the mid part of the racetrack trying to be defensive. O'Ward looks like he may be back in 5th position. Yeah, indeed. Into the 5th position right now for Pato O'Ward with Nicholas DePero right on him. DePero's got lots of confidence based on what he was able to get done in the opening race of the weekend here. Looks the opening race of the day. These guys were on track earlier today. Quick turnaround for Pro Mazda. These drivers, of course, being able to sit down with their engineers, come up with a couple ideas of what they want to do to change the car to make it a little bit better for this afternoon. Trying to, of course, forecast the way the weather is going to affect the chassis, the track, the aero, the dynamics of the entire car. Make that change right back out onto the racetrack. And it's funny, I talked to Will Owen about it, and he said he really likes these double headers because it just seems like he didn't have to get out of race mode. You know, he was already in there, feeling good, feeling confident, gets himself on the podium. And Eric, he just said, you know what, I'll do these doubles anytime I want. I feel good to jump back in the car immediately.
Well, I think there would be some sort of rhythm that you would be in just physically, that, you know, you have that mental image of what the racetrack looks like. It wouldn't be maybe a little bit easier to run more than one session a day.
That was also coming from a guy who was on the podium.
Right.
Had he finished maybe tail the back and the car was more evil, I don't think he might have said no.
Well, if his car was as evil as Veach's was.
Oh, can you believe that?
I can't believe how loose that car was in that race.
If any of those following here on the Mazda Road to Indy app or in any one of our websites following along with the live streaming coverage as well, you may have watched the Indy Lights race. And, fantastic run for Zach Veach to score the win. But as I talked to him about it in the interview, the post-race interview, he really had to drive it. It wasn't one of those deals where the car was perfect and he was able to walk away. That thing challenged him so many times as he tried to stay in front of a charging Dean Stoneman. Didn't want to give up the race win, and a couple of times we saw it on the big screen. He was right sideways coming down through the carousel. Here's your first update, first time by the stripe. They're now working their way. Yellow. So trouble for Kaminsky, the number 57. He goes off the racetrack, a full course yellow. Kaminsky off track. Looks like he potentially beached it over there. Aaron Telitz with the lead here as the Mazda Road to Indy pace car will roll itself out onto the racetrack just in front of the field over in turn number 5. So those of you live on our Mazda Road to Indy, a minor little hiccup with our audio equipment. We're back at it here, and indeed a full course caution occurred just as we were calling the top 10 after the opening lap. Bob Kaminsky in the number 57 off into the gravel over in Canada Corner. 3.8 seconds was the advantage for Aaron Telitz over Nico Jamin, the two drivers who were teammates last year in USF 2000. Jamin able to work his way up into second. There's a good shot on the big screen of Kaminsky, who I would assume, based on where he is in the beach there, just locked it up going into the braking zone of Canada Corner and backed it into the beach. They're going to get him brought up on one of those fantastic heavy equipment winches. They'll just roll out there, get that thing up off the ground and behind the wall so we can go back to green. 40-minute race here for the drivers in the Pro Mazda category. And Kaminsky in the number 57 bringing out our first yellow flag. Hopefully will be the only yellow flag of the race. And again, Aaron Telitz had a pretty nice little advantage built up. Looks like Kaminsky's going to stay in the race car. They're going to try to get him back out onto the asphalt so they can refire him and let him drive his way back. Now, as we know, let's see how much gravel he spits out when he rolls out here onto the racing line. He backed it in, so I don't expect you're going to see much gravel up into the radiator inlets of that car. But a good job for the Hamaltro safety crew, able to get in there, and they're able to get that car up and out of the gravel and back on track. So Kaminsky on the racetrack. He's going to roll it back up here again. You can see that the pace car working its way through. And in fact, such a good job for the Hamaltro safety crew. We're going back to green this time by. They've already got the winch out of the way. So he's back behind the wall. The safety crew's going to do a quick little job getting some gravel off the racetrack here. Of course, they'll head back to their post momentarily. As the drivers are going to go back to green this time by, we're being told they are single file working their way to turn 14. Now it's time for Aaron Telitz to see if he can't defend on the restart here. Nico Jamin is going to be aggressive. Remember, that's the guy who had trouble, got into an incident in the early race. He has not yet won this year. Jamin's going to want it, and we are back to green. Green, 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 it's start finish. Telitz down to the bottom, got a pretty good jump on Jamin. But Jamin will tuck up into the draft and see if he can't work him all the way down into turn number 1. Jamin goes to the outside, Telitz to the inside, but Aaron's going to hold that spot in the Team Pelfrey number 82. Jamin wisely tucks into second. The run down the hill. Jamin has a look to the inside of turn 3. Again, thinks better of it. Last year's USF 2000 champion, racing here in 2016 with that scholarship from Mazda, running with Cape Motorsports with Wayne Taylor Racing. You can see all those scholarship drivers because they have that distinctive Mazda soul red livery. Again, the look down here into turn number 5, the exit of 5 as they work their way over the rumbles, back up on the hill under the Corvette bridge to turn number 6. TJ Fisher a little wide on the exit there in the third Team Pelfrey car, able to get it back on and right behind Nicholas DePero. Looks to me like Bobby Eberle able to get in front of Kevin Davis in the national class. So Eberle, 9th overall, or rather 8th overall, leading the way in national. Telitz, though, again, pulling out a nice little advantage as they work their way down the carousel. Downhill, off camber, very tricky race corner in racing. Through the kink. And you follow up the carousel with one of the toughest ones, one of the dauntingest corners, the kink, down into the kettle bottoms here. And you really challenge these drivers in Pro Mazda.
Well, you know, you tell drivers all the time, well, you got to go flat out through the kink just to make a good lap time. And that is, as you know from being on this racetrack, it is a lot more than just a kink. It's and got another one spinning in Canada Corner. Yeah,
that is indeed in Canada Corner. One driver around. I want to say that might be Will Owen in the number 23 who has gone around.
Oh, he's high-sided on the gator strips on the inside. He's stuck, spinning the wheels.
I got a feeling we're going to see ourselves with another full course yellow. Unless they're able to get out there and hop him off those gators, that's a possibility. Long way around the racetrack still, so the Hamaltro safety crew may have time. Let's have another look at this here as the incident came in. There it is, the Canada corner. Telitz comes through cleanly.
Just lost it on his own under braking.
That's all it was. And you know what? Good for the rest of the field to be able to find a way by. Will Owen was running, I believe, in the third position, was trying to work his way forward here.
Was that Pato that also got a little sideways under braking there?
Potentially. Watching these drivers come through here again. Full course yellow being thrown here at start-finish. So, indeed, not able to get that car off the gator strips, as you said, Eric. High-sided or high-centered, and the rear wheel's just spinning. They're going to call yellow. It won't be very long. I assume we'll go back to green very quickly as they'll be able to get things going again.
And Rob and Eric, Canada corner bites another one. Canada corner, one of the most famous corners in all of road racing.
Being told we're going to green again this time by. So back to racing for Pro Mazda. Aaron Telitz is going to have to see if he can't defend once again. Went down to the inside of the racetrack. I told potentially that the race control was watching him for blocking. I didn't particularly see anything that first lap down. He just ran the inside line all the way down into turn number 1. Of course, we don't get to see that run down into turn number 5 where he may have been a little more aggressive in defending his position.
Difference would be is if he's in a single file restart situation, if he goes to the wall, that's his one move.
That's right.
If he comes back out on entry to turn 1, could very well be considered a second move.
Did look like he did it there potentially as well. We're being told going up the hill back into turn number 6. We've seen many drivers kind of work their way over and, well, you know, that's just the racing line to work my way over and back out. Green flag flying once again, so back at it here with about 26 minutes remaining. And again, Telitz will go down to the wall here now. Jamin not really in any position to make any move. No, Telitz going all the way back out to the outside of the racetrack, but I don't think Jamin quite there. DePero trying to go around the outside. He and Owen are in the middle of the battle. Rather not Owen, because Will Owen, of course, getting things wheeling back up again. Jake Parsons in the 0-0. Looks like he's out of this race. That might have been Parsons actually hung up, not Owen. We thought it was Will Owen. It was actually the 0-0 Jake Parsons. So tough one for Jake because he came into this weekend just with so much momentum and confidence, and he showed with the speed he had in qualifying, was right up there in P2. Tough for him. Another wide run there for TJ Fisher coming through 5 as he works on negotiating that corner. Pato O'Ward, though, has been able to go up into 3rd. He's trying to stop the bleeding on this weekend. Nico Jamin runs 2nd, O'Ward 3rd, but keep an eye out on the 37 at the peril. Yeah, you want to see a guy who's defense mode now. Actually held his line. That was Nico Jamin. He stayed right on the inside coming into turn number 8, doing whatever he can to hold off. And he actually does a great job to hold off Pato O'Ward because actually looks like DePero, Eric, starting to roll him in.
Yeah, DePero had pretty good race 1. Obviously, going back, I just want to make a comment about Parsons. Parsons had that wing issue, and so may have had a different color wing than normal on, so that may have been the difference in trying to identify him earlier.
I do appreciate that. Always good to have an excuse, a reason, for calling it out incorrectly.
Right? But yeah, DePero had a great race earlier this morning, and really kind of chomping at the bit to get going again here. But Pato kind of struggled a little bit towards the end of that race as well. So it's a little bit of tire file off that we saw in that first round. We may start seeing it again about halfway through. If we can stay green the whole way, that could play into maybe some track position later on at the bottom step of the podium.
Getting a chance to talk, of course, to the guys that ran with Pato on the track. Of course, DePero, who was able to get through, and Will Owen, who was up there in the media center. They said that Pato's car just wasn't very good. They've seen it as its best all year long. He's been dominant. He's been able to pull away, qualifies on pole, walks away in the races. Not so much today. And again, pretty impressive run by those Juncos Racing drivers, both DePero and Will Owen, to get themselves on the podium. And again, I think we're going to, like you said, a long way to go still here. 24 minutes still to roll. And I got a feeling that we're going to see some exciting racing still when those tires start to get a little more used up. Let's put it that way. Out front, though, Aaron Telitz looking to try to change the face of this Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tires. As I said, it has been the Pato Award show all year. We came in wondering if he was going to be able to tie the record of Matthew Brabham winning the first 7 of 8 races. Indeed, that's not the case, as he ends up winning only the first 6 of 8 races, as now Aaron Telitz with 2 wins. He's got a pretty nice little lead of over a second and a half over Jamin. But again, Jamin, a little busy right now because he's got Pato Award in the number 80, putting a ton of pressure on him. But pressure really nothing new to Nico. Last year, the season we had of racing in USF 2000 was absolutely epic. It ended up being 3 drivers in the hunt, 2 of them, of course, in the field here this weekend. Obviously, we had Nico Jamin and Aaron Telitz, but Jake Edson was actually part of the battle as well. And those drivers fought it out all year long. Man, they just went back and forth and just some great racing all around. And in the end, Nico kind of had the run near the end of the season where he started winning a lot of races and really was able to roll that confidence and momentum. But, man, he learned a lot, and that's what it's about USF 2000. He's well prepared to be able to take on any challenge he may have here in Pro Mazda. But look, Eric, right now it's Telitz pulling away again.
And he was very stout in that first race, had about a 4-second advantage near the end of the race and kind of stretched it to almost 5 seconds at the very end. But it was a great battle for second on back in that first race earlier today. But Aaron, you could tell he's at home. I mean, he's been, don't really think he's put a wheel wrong all weekend.
But he was very adamant, very, very honest with us that the car wasn't that great. He said it was so good at the start, and it kind of worried him because you don't ever want the car to be that good for the first couple laps.
Then the car kind of goes away.
Because the car was free, I could put it anywhere. I was able to build the gap. But then he said a couple of times, he's like, "Wow, I'm going to throw this race away," because he was pushing so hard. He goes, "I had a moment coming out of the carousel. I went, wow, I just lost this race. I just threw it away," because he figured it was gone, and he was able to bring it back. And again, I guarantee you that's what he was looking for when he talked to his mechanics. Let's just see if we can't get the car to be a little bit better later on. You want it better when the tires are more compromised with the fact they've been pushed so hard. I'm good at the start. I can drive the car at the start, but at the end, when I'm tired and the tires are tired, give me a little more mechanical grip, please. Coming around to the halfway point of this particular race, Telitz now a 3-second lead over Jamin, who has just 0.2 on Award. DePero just a half second back. Owen just 0.3 back at DePero. We got a great fight for the final couple positions on the podium, and there they are right there. Boom, 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 boom. All 4 cars rolling by you on the big screen. Nico Jamin in that Soul Red number 2 setting the pace. 209.5. Look at this. Look at the speed, though, Eric, of Telitz. Jamin stacking him up with a 209.5. He just laid out a 208.3. 1.2 seconds faster than the rest of the field right now for Aaron Telitz.
And again, it's just his rhythm right now is unbelievable pace. But again, how hard is he pushing? You know, how much of that car is he using up as we continue to go? But Jamin's got to make up a little bit of ground from the ground that he lost in that first round, being lapped down, finishing in 10th in that first round earlier today. So that's, you know, how hard does Jamin want to push?
He's begging for a good finish. I'll tell you that right now. It's been a rough one for Nico Jamin this year. He's had some good ups. He's had a lot of downs. He wants a good finish. He would love it because he's coming off a rough race at Lucas Oil Raceway, the Oval. He was very strong there in the USF 2000 car. They just didn't get the handle on the setup for the race itself. He was strong in practice and qualifying, but rather in practice, just didn't have it for qualifying, however. Telitz now leading by 3.7 seconds. You know Jamin will continue to push hard to try to get himself into a position to win this race, at least get on the podium at the very least. I don't think a win's in the cards unless we see some kind of a yellow flag happen here to bunch things back up again, because right now Telitz stretching out comfortably, 3.7 seconds the lead. Let's give you a top 10 rundown here at the halfway point. Just about 19 minutes remaining in this 40-minute race. Aaron Telitz, your leader, by 3.7 seconds. Nico Jamin runs in second. He's been able to stretch about a half a second over Pato Award, who indeed has another 0.6 of a second from Nicholas DeParo. Will Owen right behind DePero in the number 23. TJ Fisher in the third. Team Pelfrey car in sixth spot. Kevin Davis runs in 7th. Bobby Eberle in 8th. Bob Kaminsky 9th. And Jake Parsons able to get back on the racetrack in the 0-0 after adjustments, after repairs. But he is still 25 seconds behind Kaminsky. So I don't think you're going to see Parsons back in the hunt, although he is turning laps of around 2:10 as he tries to work his way back forward. Again, he may try. There's still time to go to see if he can catch up to Kaminsky or Eberle, at least Kaminsky, to see if he can't get one more position, couple more points in the championship. Another fast lap laid down by Aaron Telitz in that number 82, a 207.762. Just an absolutely impressive run here by Aaron Telitz here this weekend. And it'll be interesting because from here we head in just 2 weeks' time to Toronto for the street circuit race, the legendary race up there in the streets of Toronto. And you know, Eric, it's all about confidence, as we said, and momentum. We continue to use those two words, but thinking about Aaron Telitz winning a couple races here, man, he would roll into Toronto with a full head of steam, and you know he would be feeling really good in terms of trying to win those races in Toronto. .8 seconds down the advantage. Telitz walking away with this one, actually even more than it was in the opening race of the day. That car was a little more evil for Aaron, and he didn't quite show the unbelievable pace he's showing right now. In fact, Aaron was quite worried about the attack by Nicholas DePero. Only the off by DePero up in turn number 6 late in the race that gave Aaron that little bit of breathing room, I think, allowed him to take a sigh of relief in the last couple of laps. Otherwise, I think he figured with the way that car was handling and it was kind of going away on him, the lap times were starting to creep a bit higher. I think he figured DePero might be able to challenge before it was all done.
Well, DePero kept going off 4/10, 5/10, 6/10 quicker lap times than Aaron. And if, like you said, without that off in the top of 6 going across the rumble strips and the gator strips, and he dropped back another 4 or 5 seconds off of where he was, he had plenty of time to catch.
Lots of time, yeah.
Catch the leader in that situation. So, again, just a mental mistake there.
He was honest. He said, wow, I was just pushing so hard. I just missed my entry by a little bit, and the car just pushed out. He got out into the marbles a little bit. And if you look at the positive side, congrats on saving that car because he was well off the racetrack and was able to bring it back on and continue and get that second-place finish.
We've seen plenty of cars go off in turn 6 and not come back from the other side of the gravel trap from pushing too hard like that or spinning to the inside and hitting the wall driver's left. It's a very easy corner because it's very difficult to get your braking right coming up the hill because you're at full throttle coming up the hill. You get to a certain point where the crown underneath the Corvette bridge and you're right on the brake and turn. You've got to get the car to rotate completely through the apex of the corner. It's very difficult to just kind of set the brake and get the car to rotate through the corner, and that's why it's so easy to push wide because if you don't rotate the car through the corner, all of that momentum carries you further off of apex on exit.
And the car is so light. When you're coming up over the top there, you've taken all that air. The thing just kind of starts to want to take off, and it wants to go forward. And again, like I said, a pretty solid effort for him to be able to bring it back on. I like the fact that we've got a little bit of a runoff area there now that makes it a little easier for the drivers to continue. Fight really we're going to watch here, I think, is for 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th. Telitz is pulled away again, 6.07 seconds. Telitz in that Rice Lake Weighing Systems number 82, the Team Pelfrey car. Just impressive what he's been able to do. Nico Jamin trying to hold off Pato O'Ward. And I guarantee that Telitz is rooting for O'Ward now as well, keeping Jamin back. Of course, he wants those bonus or wants those points, wants to close back up again. We talked about the points in the USF 2000 category, Pro Mazda as well. If it stands where it is right now, Telitz will close to within 29 points rather, and that's one race. So all it takes is a DNF and a potential for Telitz to close back up here. It will be 261 points for O'Ward, 232 points for Telitz, and the next up would be Will Owen with 166 points. Jamin 160. So even Nico Jamin not out of the hunt for the top 3 position here right now, having the kind of season he's had thus far. 13 and a half minutes remaining. Drivers have been able to put 11 laps in the books here now as they come across start-finish. Working lap number 12. 7.4 seconds the advantage for Telitz. But again, there's second, third, fourth, and fifth, and even sixth. Fisher's not that far back, just 2.2 seconds behind DePero. So a pretty good run for everyone behind Telitz here this weekend. It's kind of been that way with Pato O'Ward throughout the year as he's been the driver who's pulled away and everybody else has kind of fought for second. This time, Telitz in the hot seat and looking to get his second win of the weekend.
If I can have your attention, please, on the grounds here at Road America. Again, there is a red Mercury Grand Marquis parked near the Fireman's Hill, near the Lion's Den. Again, near Fireman's Hill, near the Lion's Den. If you own a red Mercury Grand Marquis, please move your vehicle immediately.
This Pro Mazda event settling into kind of a train race here as no one's been able to close back up on Nico Jamin. Kind of stacked everybody up behind him, but the gap has kind of settled between everybody. 4/10 of a second between Jamin and O'Ward, almost a full second back to Owen, 7/10 back to DePero, and 2.2 back to Fisher. Jake Parsons continues to try to close on Bob Kaminsky to see if he can get that one additional point. But as it stands right now, it's just a Aaron Telitz show here today at Road America. And again, we talked so much throughout the weekend about the fact that Aaron did a lot of karting here as well on the big track in the WKA World Karting Association road racing events. As we watch Nicholas DePero get hung out to dry on the outside of Canada corner, he's going to lose a lot of gap to Will Owen. So that's going to give Owen some breathing room, and I'm sure they'll be telling him that. DePero got well off there. That's actually going to put him back into the clutches of TJ Fisher here pretty soon. But back to Aaron Telitz, the amount of different race cars he has driven here at Road America. And again, working his way up the ranks, ran in the WKA, the World Karting Association Road America Super Nationals, was one of the largest road racing karting events of its kind in the country. One of the other big ones, of course, at Daytona International Speedway, WKA Kart Week, held between Christmas and New Year's every year. But Aaron was one of the front runners here in the single speed 125cc category, the tag class. Was able to race for victories here as part of that program. Then moved into the Skip Barber National Series, ran here in Skip Barber, and you learn a lot about racecraft in Skip Barber with that big gurney flap on the back of that car. A ton of drafting, a lot of slipstream passes, you name it. These they battle it out big time when the Skip Barber drivers are here, and then of course him now moving into this Pro Mazda category. It's been some success found at Road America for Aaron Telitz. And, of course, the biggest one he's found thus far, the victory earlier today in Pro Mazda, considering the fact that with Pro Mazda, he's only 2 steps away from the Verizon IndyCar Series. Telitz, Jamin, O'Ward, Owen, and DePero, your top 5. Fisher, Eberle, Davis, Kaminsky, and Parsons. Top 10, as we have 10 minutes remaining. Here in Pro Mazda, 8.5 seconds. Aaron Telitz dominating the action at Road America. Driver streaming once again be in front of us here at Road America. We're right here at start finish. The announcer's booth, not very high atop the racetrack at all. Great vantage point here of pit lane as well. And we see a good battle actually starting to form for third position. Will Owen wants to get back on the podium for the second time here today. I keep saying this weekend, but actually today. Good fight as well for the national category. Kevin Davis and Bobby Eberle going at it. Eberle now with the lead in the number 13. Davis runs second in the 44. Bob Kaminsky in the 57 continue to get reeled in here by Jake Parsons as we now have just about 8.5 minutes remaining. Parsons seeing if he can't reel in Kaminsky to get that one more position and the extra couple of points. Telitz in the 82 has been the man to beat all weekend long. A little different than what we're used to in terms of the fact that Pato O'Ward has been the guy this year. But here at Road America, we'll call it his home track, even though he lives about 4 hours away. Still the track that he calls home in terms of running here on the Mazda Road to Indy. Anytime you can get back to Wisconsin, he's going to be happy. And to run here at Road America and run well, a dream come true for Telitz. You know, Eric, we talked to him actually in the post-race celebration, the press conference, and we know that these drivers they love running in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but this was the race for Aaron Telitz. He said, "This race, Road America, this is the highlight of my year."
Well, absolutely, and you know, there's just something about coming home too. But I would imagine that straightaway-wise, at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there's nothing more daunting than coming off of on the road course side of things.
It's a long straightaway.
That is a very long straightaway, and it is very long here as well, here on the Road America straightaway where the pit lane is. But a little bit of similarity to that, but once you get into the twisty bits of the racetrack at Indy, it stays fairly flat, where this is a lot more different G-loads to these cars as well. So setup changes are a lot different when you come here. And obviously they've tweaked this car just a little bit since race one, even this morning. Yeah. And this car is on a set of rails.
It is absolutely perfect, and he continues to walk away. He has been a second or more quicker every lap than the remainder of the field, including his teammate Pato O'Ward. O'Ward still runs in that third spot with Will Owen pushing him. Jamin with a bit of a gap now, over a half a second for Nico. As we watch them come through turn number 5, all three drivers out and over top of the rumbles. Of course, Pato, though, a little wider. Almost dipped the wheel into the grass. I think he's really having to hustle that car to see if he can't stay in front of Will Owen. But I'll tell you, Will was on the podium once already. He's hungry to get back there. 6 minutes remaining here in Pro Mazda. Just 6 to go. Five minutes remaining in this race. And again, Telitz coming across the stripe. Stretching away. Very impressive. Aaron Telitz going for his second race win of the weekend. Third of the year. 9.7 seconds. The advantage for Telitz over Jamin. Although here comes the battle for third. Pato O'Ward throwing up the wall of defense as he drove to the bottom of the racetrack going into one. We've seen Will Owen already go around the outside at turn number 1. Are we going to see back-to-back outside passes, Eric? It was fun to watch in the first race. Are we going to see it again? He's done it before.
Well, you know, he's definitely got the confidence in the car to do it again. There he goes. Looks to the outside of what would be technically 4. So it's to the inside of 4, but he would be to the outside of 5. Into the braking zone, to the brake markers, into turn 5 now.
Oh, Will Owen. Trying everything to find a way by. Is up to the inside, side by side, and he's by. Book it. Will Owen goes to P3 with a great move around the outside of turn number 5. Took away the braking zone, was able to get the car on the rumbles. That was an impressive pass.
Absolutely, but that's you've got to get a lot of momentum coming off the corner, and he dove to the inside underneath the Sargento Bridge and able to get that run to be wheel-to-wheel into the braking zone, and then it just becomes a braking duel and got the advantage.
So for the second straight race in the late going, Will Owen driver out of Colorado in that number 23, able to work his way into third, going by the point leader. As I said before, Pato O'Ward has been the dominant factor this year. He won 6 of the first 7 races and is going to find himself winless here at Road America. Instead, it'll be his teammate at Team Pelfrey, Aaron Telitz, potentially going back-to-back. And in fact, O'Ward, for the first time in 2016, may not be on the podium. He has been there all year on the podium in every race thus far. He did not go on the podium this morning and could potentially be pushed off the podium again here today. It's Telitz, Jamin, and O'Ward 1, 2, 3. And I don't think Will Owen is done moving forward here right now. Eric, it looks like he's got ahead of Steve to try to go after Jamin here as well.
He does, and he's got quite the run heading down the front straightaway. It is down to 2 car lengths now as they head towards the pit out and head towards turn 1 into the braking zone. He looks to the inside but ducks back into line.
Man, Will Owen, the confidence boosted after that podium finish third in the opening race of the day. Finally able to get by Pato O'Ward with a great move in turn number 5 on the outside. Oh, the car twitched there. He threw it to the inside of turn number 3.
Moment.
Did you see that?
That was a big moment.
That thing took a set going into the corner, and then the front of the car just jinked to the left. Wow, good save for Will Owen there, because a big moment over in turn number 3, and he'll again chase Nico Jamin down into turn number 5. We are going to see the white flag next time by, so this battle for the final couple positions on the podium still to come. Yeah, watch them come out at turn number 6, so there's no Aaron Telitz to be found.
Well, I wouldn't count Pato out here,
no.
Because as those two start getting racy here, coming to the white silk, you could certainly have a 3-way battle for second spot.
The thing about Pato, though, he's got such a lead in the points. Do they just get on the radio and say, dude,
just let it
relax.
go. Just let it go.
Let's let this one go. If they wreck each other, good. But let's not throw this away with a DNF on the final lap.
DePiro just had a moment in 10, just past the Armco in the carousel. Got a little twitchy under power.
Give props to these drivers on the second rung of the Mazda road to Indy, just a couple steps away from the Verizon IndyCar Series, but then again, just a couple steps away from being in their first go-kart. So right in the middle of the development curve here in the Pro Mazda category. And there are some drivers stepping it up. Juncos Racing being one. They have really started to come alive with their cars here. Had a pretty solid test at Mid-Ohio, and it's good to see them back in the fight here. White flag flying for Aaron Telitz. He's across the line already, just as the rest of the field coming out of 14. So domination in this second race for Aaron Telitz. He's just going to try to bring it home on the final lap. And we are watching the fight here for second position to see if Will Owen has anything for Nico Jamin. 2 laps ago, he was able to get by Pato O'Ward over in turn number 5. And yes, he closes up again in turn 1. Not close enough to make a move, Eric, but close enough to maybe get there in turn 5.
Absolutely, and knock it on the door. But Jamin, with a really good tight line into 3 there, really kind of held a little bit of a defensive half lane over. You're on this final lap. But Owen, where he made his pass on Pato, was into turn 5.
Not close enough to make that same move under the Sargento Bridge as we saw, this time still under the wing of Jamin as they work themselves into the braking markers. There goes Telitz through turn number 7 now. What a run here for Aaron Telitz. Talk about feeling good about your race car and about your racing team. The confidence he's shown here this weekend, even with the rough car. Confidence in himself to be able to handle that evil machine near the end of the race. He'll work his way through the carousel. You can be sure that the team's on the radio saying, okay, you got a good enough lead now. You've done great. You can back it up a little bit if you want. But again, working his way through the kink. A long time before we see them come back around. Through kettle bottoms now. Aaron Telitz, the Wisconsin boy, trying to bring the Cheeseheads a couple of big wins. Huge for him in the championship as well. Through Canada corner now. Aaron Telitz looking to see if he can't match the performance by Anthony Martin, winning 2 races here at Road America. Zach Veach will try to do the same thing tomorrow morning in Indy Lights after scoring his first win of the year. Out of turn number 14, a dream weekend for the hometown boy, the home state boy here at Road America. He's going to weave that number 82 up the straightaway over the hill, back-to-back jacks at Road America, your victor, Aaron Telitz, the Wisconsin driver, winning here at Road America. Nico Jamin going to take second ahead of Will Owen. Pato O'Ward in fourth, Nicholas DePero fifth,